Good morning, everybody. T's back. Her dad's doing great, by the way. Isn't that amazing? 85, and he gets a new hip. He's only in the hospital for a couple of days. They got him up walking the day that they give him the new hip. He's home within a week. And in 3 weeks, he's like a new man. That is crazy what medical technology can do. And you see how far we've come. So we live in a world of seasons. We live in a world where we have spring, summer, fall, and what comes after fall, winter. And our life really operates in seasons. If you think about it, when we're young, we're in spring. And then as we get in the middle of our life, we're in summer. And then later on in life, we get in fall. And then at the end of life, we're in winter. And we go through cycles that are seasons. So the economy and the world goes through those cycles also. So it's a really good metaphor to use for what you should do when you're in those seasons, but also to think about what's coming. You know, what season are we in right now? What season is the world in? Well, we're in winter, right? I mean, we're fighting a pandemic. We've got a strange economic situation, to say the least. The world is in winter right now. And, you know, you could see that coming. I remember being in New York and Chicago with T last fall and looking around. And it was just the amount of booming that was going on. The people were building everywhere. There was 60 apartments in New York that were at $40 million and higher. I mean, there were more buildings being built in Chicago than they did after the Great Fire in Chicago. Well, I mean, you knew that couldn't last, and that's fall. Everybody was reaping the harvest, right? We had 100% employment. We have incredibly low taxes, so everybody was reaping. Well, you knew that winter was going to follow that, and it didn't really show how it was going to follow that, but you knew it was coming, and here it is. So now we're in winter. So the good news is you know where you are and what you do. So what's going to come next? Spring. All right, well, what does the farmer do in winter? Well, they prepare. And that's what you do when everything falls apart, is you prepare. So where do you start working? Well, you do this, right? You work on yourself first. And what do? You think about and prepare and plan, number one, what you're going to do and where you're going to go when spring comes, and you can start moving around. So that's setting your goals. That's learning everything that you can right now. You're getting yourself prepared so that when the gates open up and spring comes and we can start sowing the seeds, we're in a perfect position to do that. So what should you be doing right now? Well, you should be doing a lot of this. If you're laid off from work, well, that is a perfect time to read as much as possible. If you have to shut down, if you get COVID or if you get exposed to COVID, I accidentally got exposed to COVID last weekend, tested yesterday, and I tested negative. But if you get exposed and you got to do a 14-day shutdown, well, get every tape in the world, showing my age. Get every system in the world and start listening to them. Do a massive goal-setting workshop. Read like crazy. Now's the time to be grabbing new books. I downloaded 5 new books onto my iPad this past week that I'm going to start working on. You know, winter is the time to prepare, and we start preparing by preparing ourselves. You set your goals, you set your intentions, and then you come up with a plan. What's your plan in order to do that? You know, what does the farmer do in winter? Well, the farmer sets out his plan. I'm going to plant this many crops, and I'm going to do it in this way. I'm going to plant this much corn, and I'm going to plant this much soybeans. I'm going to have this many animals if I'm going to have animals, and they lay out their plan. They may or may not do all of their plan, but they lay it out. What else do they do? Then they set out their budgets. Okay, here's what I need to do, so here's my budget. How much money am I going to need? How much am I going to have to borrow? How much do I already have? How much feed do I need? How much herbicide do I need if I use that? You know, they lay out their plan with their budget. What's it going to take in order to do this. So once you set your goal, then you should lay out your plan for achieving that goal. But remember, first, when we set our goal, we look at our why, right? We start with, why does this need to happen? Well, the farmer already knows that. The farmer already knows, I got to grow this much crop because I think I'm going to be able to sell it for X dollars, and I want to make X amount of money. You know, one of the things that makes farmers such great business people is they know their numbers. If you ever interact with farmers, and I have a lot because I live in a farming area, they know their numbers down to the T. And one of the biggest mistakes of business people is they don't know their numbers. They're not keeping score. And farmers keep score. If a farmer has an animal, they can point to the animal and they can tell you exactly how much money they have into that animal and what it needs to sell for in order for them to make money. They know exactly what they've got into every acre of corn, and they know exactly what the yields were for that field last year. And they don't just do the whole field, they break it down to every small area of that field. They know their numbers. So they know their goals, and then they start preparing for their goals. What am I going to need? How much feed am I going to need? How much seed am I going to need? How much herbicide am I going to need? How much gasoline am I going to need? Fuel. They would use the word fuel. How much fuel am I going to need? Do I have the right equipment in order to do that? How much money am I going to need to borrow in order to do that? Then what do they do next? They work on their equipment. They make sure it's in top running shape. They go through it inch by inch. They clean it. They replace anything that needs to be replacing. So what's our equipment? It's us, right? Our equipment is our bodies. It's our brains. So if you are in winter right now, if you are laid off from work, if you're somewhere where you have to be locked down from COVID, or if things just simply, if your business is essentially shut down or going to be shut down, you run a restaurant, you run a bar, you run a local shop of some type. Well, now's when you prepare. If you don't have anything else to do, then you prepare, and you start with yourself. Set your goals, set your plan, and then work on yourself. If you're not doing, even if you're locked in a room because you're quarantined, there's no reason. People that get locked in prison still stay in great shape. Prisoners of war, when they get shot down on airplanes and they get kept in concentration camps or military camps, they still stay in shape. You can still do push-ups. You can still do sit-ups. You can still do yoga and stretch. You can still meditate. So we're in winter right now, so it's time to prepare. It's time to set the goals. It's time to figure out what we need in order to achieve those goals. It's time to set our plan. It's time to gather our resources. It's time to sharpen the saw. It's time to work on ourselves as much as possible. What's the great thing about winter? It doesn't last. And what comes after winter? Spring. And what do we do in spring? We sow. We sow the seeds of what we do. So be prepared for what's coming. What's coming is springtime. And in springtime is when we get out there and we start sowing seeds. And it's hard to tell when springtime comes. So start looking and start getting ready to sow seeds as much as possible. And for some of us, it might be time to sow seeds right now. It might be time to start planting things that we're going to get to harvest down the road. Maybe it's time to buy real estate in certain areas. That's up to you. Maybe it's time to buy stocks in certain areas. Hard to believe, but maybe it is. Maybe it's time to buy precious metals. Maybe it's time to buy a business. Now would be a great time to buy a business. People are struggling. If you have access to capital, baby boomers are retiring left and right, and their kids don't want to take their businesses over. Their kids are not millennials. Their kids are the X generation. My generation has somehow been lost in this whole conversation. There's lots of amazing businesses out there right now that people want to sell that nobody wants to buy. And if you can get access to capital, it's a great time to go get one because it's probably shut down. What better time to buy it? And then just wait. Prepare and wait. So understand, we're in winter right now. That's okay. We need these breaks. We need these breaks in order to gather ourselves and they call it in the stock market backfilling, when it takes a little bit of a break and it consolidates. And that's kind of where we're at. That's what's going on right now. So we're in winter, but spring is coming. So be ready. Hi, Diana. Great to see you, dear. Great to talk to you yesterday. So work on yourselves, work on your goals, and this weekend, start setting up plans for how you're going to do that. What are you going to work on? What books are you going to read? Get a list of the books that you're going to take a look at and read and figure out what is it that you want to pay attention to. What seminar are you going to attend, or what online course are you going to do? Who are you going to listen to that's going to get you closer to your goals? Now is when we prepare. And now is when some great fortunes can be made. It's during winter when other people are suffering. If you stay calm and if you are able to rationalize ways in order to expand, now is when expansion can really be effective. Because if you buy stuff in winter, it's not worth very much. Nobody buys land when there's snow on it, right? That's the old adage. It's not entirely true, but that's the old adage. Well, right now there's snow all over the businesses. Well, it's a good time to go buy them. And if the bank won't give you the money, well, then find other people to give you the money, because there's people out there looking for a way to invest in something other than the stock market, because the stock market is making everybody nervous and the stock market doesn't make sense, but people don't have anywhere else to put their money. So if you want to buy a business and the bank won't give you the money, then go find investors, because they're going to invest if they believe in you. And they're going to believe in you if you believe in yourself. So it's winter, people. Do our plans. Spend this weekend figuring out our plans. For the next couple of days, we're going to talk about all the seasons. It is awesome to see everybody. Happy Saturday. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.